Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about functional programming and if it's a waste of time. So let's get into it. So the question in question was pretty much that. Frederick, is functional programming just a waste of time? And the short answer is no, it is not a waste of time. Let me explain why. You see, the thing is that there is some truth to the idea that it could be a waste of time. Now, what I'm saying here is not that functional programming as a concept is a waste of time, but I'm saying that becoming a zealous religious fanatic that learns all the things about functional programming and tries to convince the rest of the world that these concepts are vital in order to produce working software, that is a damn waste of time, because you're not going to succeed. You're just going to wear yourself out, because the world has, for some reason, for better or for worse, decided that functional programming, the most extreme forms of functional programming, where you might be using something like monadic structures and so forth, these sorts of concepts, they don't feel that this is useful or valuable to a code base, largely. There are projects where this is still being used, or where this is being used rather, but for the most part this is not the case. And it really only creates a situation where you're going to get frustrated if you try to force this to happen, because the sad fact is that you're not going to convince the entire industry that these concepts are a good idea. It hasn't happened in the last 30 years or 40 years or something like that, and it's not going to start now because you decide that this is the coolest thing in the world. You see, the thing is that although I truly believe that if you go all in on these concepts and you have people who are well educated within the concepts and you really know what you're doing, I think that this can be an absolutely amazing thing. But the reality of the situation is that when you work in software development, just as you work in anything, or if you're playing sports or anything like that, where you have a team of people, then it's not just about the thing that could be the best of the best. It is about figuring out how can I make a solution to a problem where each of the individuals within that team can be part of that solution and be as effective as possible. And quite a lot of people do not know how the more advanced forms of functional programming actually works, and the theory about category theory and things of this nature. And since that's not the case, then yes, it is a waste of time for you to try to push for these things or try to learn. I won't say that it's a waste of time for you to learn it, if we think about it from the perspective that you are just interested. If you're just someone who really thinks that it's a cool idea with, say, monadic structures, or you really want to know what a functor is, or you want to master currying or things like that, then sure, go for it. I mean, I did, and I really do enjoy it, and sometimes I do have usages for these sorts of concepts. I will tell you about this concept that are actually useful to me on a daily basis, but these things do happen. Like, there are some situations where I have had a use case for, say, currying and stuff like that. It's a very powerful thing. But what I'm saying is that that's not the thing that is going to be useful to you on a daily basis, and it's definitely not going to be useful for you from a job perspective. What I mean by that is not that you don't use it if you know it. What I mean about that is that nobody's going to expect you to know it, pretty much. There is not a single company that is going to, unless they are really fanatic, as I said, about functional programming, that is going to test you if you know how a monadic structure works, or how functional composition works, or how all these things fit together. As I said, unless they are really fanatic about this. Most companies are actually just going to check that you know how to write code. Most of them care about that you know object-oriented programming or something like that, or procedural things, like doesn't have to be necessarily the object-oriented paradigm, but that is by far the most common one. So that's the one that usually makes a difference in your daily job. But the things that are truly powerful, at least from my experiences with the functional programming, is things such as higher order functions. They are absolutely amazing. At least that's at least how I feel about it. It is one of those concepts that is extremely useful to understand higher order functions and understand how to apply them correctly, because it basically allows you to create a very efficient and simple dependency injection system and more generic code and better abstractions and things of this nature. And I think that's a great thing. So what I want you to take away from this is not that functional programming is a waste of time. It's not a waste of time. There are certain things such as higher order functions that are truly useful for every single programmer to know about. Like, regardless of if you're fanatic on object-oriented programming or if you're doing something else, because it's a very useful concept to know about, and you will use it on a daily basis. But then there are things that are a complete waste of time if you look at it from the perspective that you need this for work purposes, such as knowing how to apply monads and category theory and things like that. It's not something that anybody is expecting you to know, and you can go your entire career without having to know it. If you do decide to learn it, I think that you should, because at least I found that it helped me quite a lot in thinking about software. And I honestly believe that the wider your range of understanding of different concepts, the better you will be at seeing the whole picture when you're writing software. It's you can think of it as traveling. The more you travel, the wiser, in theory, the better the perspective that you're going to get on the world that you find yourself in. So hopefully this was useful to you. Have a great day.